Hi everybody, I have another knife review for you today. This is the Spyderco Sage 2. The Sage series was created by Spyderco to commemorate different innovators in the knife making industry. Currently there are 3 models in the series right now, and each model pretty much similar. There are only 3 differences. Number 1 is of course the price. Number 2 will be the handle material, and number 3 will be the locking mechanism. Each knife will represent a different locking design that was invented by a different creator. The Sage 1 has carbon fiber handles and has a liner lock to commemorate Michael Walker, who invented the liner lock. The Sage 3 has a bolt action lock, and it honors Blackie Collins, who created it. If you guys are wondering, it's a little button on the side that you can grab from either end, and anybody who's used like a classic Benchmade will know how it works. Functionally it's the same. The Sage 2 has a frame lock, or a Reeves integral lock, invented by Chris Reeve of Chris Reeve Knives. His most famous knife probably is the Chris Reeve Savenza. It's really expensive, and I'll talk about how this is a nice alternative if you want to get something close to a Savenza but you can't afford it, or you wish you had a Savenza but you wanted that Spyderco hole. Just let you have a look at the box right here before we get to the knife itself. Got this brand new from a user on Blade Forums, and I was thinking about upgrading and trying out a new EDC knife. There's a little plastic mylar pouch it came in, a little foamy, and you get this nice little letter from Spyderco talking about the Sage series and what it's all about. It's pretty nice. Just put this all away. And I'll try to take a picture of this stuff and then append the pictures at the end of the video. Looking at the knife right here, pretty much if you have any of the Sage series, you're going to find that the handle shape is exactly the same, the blade shape will be exactly the same, and they'll all use 3 Torx screws to hold them together. And after trying out different sizes, I found that these are T8 size Torx screws. I haven't taken apart the knife, but just fitted it in. All of them have a CPM S30V blade with this nice full flat grind leaf shape design, and it's a really wide blade. The blade thickness is 1/8 of an inch, or 3 millimeters, and that's really thick. The blade length is 3 inches exactly, 76 millimeters, which means this is legal in most localities. My area, I have a 3-inch blade limit for pocket knives, so this is perfect. And the cutting edge is 2 3/4 inches, or 70 millimeters. The handle material is titanium, which is kind of part of where the price comes in. I'll get to that in a second. Overall length is 7 1/8 inches, or 181 millimeters. The length closed is 4 3/16 of an inch, or 106 millimeters. The hole diameter is 1/2 inch, or 13 millimeters, and the total weight is 3.5 ounces, or about 99 grams. This is actually one of the few frame locks I own. I actually prefer back locks, but I thought I'd try something new. I've always wanted something close to a Savenza, but I don't want to drop down $300-400 for a knife. And since it uses the Reeves integral lock with permission from Reeves, I mean they actually mention his name, I kind of trust that the fit and finish is going to be excellent. And from holding this knife, it is really nice. Nicely contoured. As you notice right here, there are no sharp corners. Spyderco did a really good job in rounding out the corners of the knife, so there's no sharp edges. A lot of production knives, what they'll do is they'll stamp it, they'll cut out the frame and then put it out. But as you can see, nice and smooth. Great on the titanium right there. There you got the Spyderco logo. As you can see, it says right there, Spyderco CPM S30V. Wickedly sharp blade. I haven't used it to cut anything really, except maybe paper, just to try it out, but it is wickedly sharp, and it's got a scary sharp tip. If you look right here, it says Tai Chung Taiwan. So this is made in Taiwan. Some of you who like American-made knives, I can understand. Now, a lot of people are worried about different foreign-made knives. Let me tell you though, Taiwan, I trust it as long as the quality control is good, and if it says Spyderco, I trust it. And Taiwan is not the same as China. I'm personally, no matter what, wary of China-made knives, but Taiwan, I've never had a Taiwanese-made knife by Spyderco that's been bad. So I really like the fit and finish, and it's just a nice testament to like how good the quality control for Spyderco is. Got this nice deep riding pocket clip right here. I was worried about how strong this would be, but it's actually quite stiff and quite secure holding. And I thought it would bend really easily like a paper clip just because of how thin it was, but when you hold it in hand, this is actually quite strong. The tip, the pocket clip, you can unscrew with the same size Torx screw. You can flip it for either left or right-handed carry. As you can see, there's the two lines where the pocket clip can fit in. Unfortunately, it's only tip up, so you guys who like to carry tip down, unfortunately, you're out of luck. And if you look here, the bolts go through from one side to the other, and what you can do is it's a nice flow-through design. This is one of the big things that made me want to try this knife in the first place, is the fact that since it is flow-through, if it gets dirty, I don't have to take the knife completely apart. I can just kind of take a Q-tip, kind of wipe it through there to clean out any dust or debris or whatever I get in here. Nice wide blade. 3mm is pretty thick for my knives, for a pocket knife to have. But the fact that it tapers so well with a full flat grind means that you're not going to have any cutting performance issues. I mean, it's thick at the spine. As you can see, it nicely tapers here at the tip. But the full flat grind means that you're not going to have any kind of binding issues when you're cutting with this. So I feel like it's got a thick enough spine that you feel like you have enough security for strength. But the shape of the blade itself means they're going to have great cutting performance. You have great jipping here on the back, on the spine, and you have a nice thumb ramp right here, so it feels pretty secure, and it's jimped right here on this choil, so that if you have this in a pinch grip, you have a really secure grip when you're holding the knife. It doesn't feel like my hand's going to slip onto the blade at all. For the liner, you'll notice here you have a little bit of a cutout, and then you have part of the bar bent in, holding the knife open. So if I can just close this, give you guys like a look. As I open the knife, what you're going to see is this bar is going to slide into place and hold the knife open. So if I can show it really slow. Oh, and by the way, let's see if I can get a shot of it. I might not, just because it is so small. Yeah, it's really hard. What you'll notice if you look really close, if you have the knife in hand, there's a little ball. That's the ball detent. What happens is that fits into a little indentation in the blade, which you actually really can't see because it's inside the scale. So I don't know if you can hear it, but there's a little click right there. The ball is fitting into the little detent inside of the blade, and that provides a little bit of resistance so that when you have the knife in your pocket, the knife isn't going to open too easily. So you actually have to push against the resistance of that ball resting inside the detent of the blade. Feel that? But once you get past that resistance, the blade opens really smoothly. Anyways, back to the lock. Just watch that bar right there. You'll notice it's sliding into place. And it's really secure. Let's say it rests about 50% of the blade, which is just right. Too little, and I would feel like the locking bar could slide out of place. Too much, and it's going to be too stiff. Now, part of the reason why frame locks are really expensive, or high quality frame locks are so expensive, is the fact that they have to get this tension just right. And that takes a lot of kind of detailing, and that's part of you're not just paying for the materials, but you're paying for the workmanship that goes into making a frame lock that slides just right. The other thing is these are titanium handle scales, and that shoots the price way up. The MSRP for the Sage 1, which has the liner lock and carbon fiber handles, is $180. The Sage 3 with the bolt action lock has G10 handles. That's $200. For the Sage 2, this one with titanium handles, is $265, so significantly more expensive. In fact, this is probably the most expensive knife in my collection right now. Otherwise, all the knives in the series are exactly the same. They all have the blade shape exactly the same. They all use CPM S30V scales. So you got to say that the difference in price is mainly because of the handle. To disengage the lock, I just use my finger and I push this bar out of the way. See if I can do it on camera. There you go. And then it slides into place. Lately, sometimes I get kind of lazy. I don't want to shift my grip, so I'll use my middle finger to disengage the lock, like so. And then close the lock out of place. Messed it up here. See if I can get that right while doing it out of the way. I'll use my middle finger to disengage the lock and then close it that way. That's just another way to do it. Some people complain that titanium scratches up pretty easily, but I find that they buff out easily as well. But also, for a knife like this, that is this sturdily built, don't be afraid to use it. I mean, I like scratches on my knives. It shows that they've been used and they've been well loved. In terms of the comparison between this and the Sebenza, I don't have a Sebenza to do the comparison, but the materials are the same. They both have S30V blades, they both have titanium handle scales, and they both use a frame lock design. I would say I like the clip better on the Spyderco just because it's a little bit more low profile and it's deeper riding in the pocket. Weight is comparable. This is about the size of the small Sebenza. The two things that would set it aside from a Sebenza though is the blade shape, this is a leaf shape versus the clip point design of the Sebenza. You have a choil here, which the Sebenza does not have, so if you guys like choiled knives and you like this kind of pinch grip for grabbing, you might like this as well. But the thing that would seal it for me is I wish the Sebenza had a opening hole. After trying Spydercos, it's hard for me to go back to anything other than a thumb hole for most of my pocket carry knives. I just find it's really ergonomic and it's really comfortable, and I tried going back to using knives that have studs, and I just find this is the most comfortable and easiest to use, especially if you're wearing gloves. If you guys are looking for a Sebenza but can't afford it, I think this is a great compromise. It's a good gateway kind of knife to trying it out just because the materials are exactly the same, but you can still afford this. I mean, I wouldn't be afraid to use this knife and use it hard, whereas with a $300-400 knife, especially like, you know, with my budget, I'd be kind of reluctant to carry it on me. I mean, I'd be pretty sad if this broke too, but it's not as bad of a cost. Actually, in full disclosure, I've already traded this knife to a very nice user on Blade Forums. He's giving me another Spyderco, which I'll review later. Main reason that I'm trading this knife away is not because of the knife itself. I quite like this knife, but I just find that I like the Delica better. I'm not really one for the choil. I like just the handle shape of the Delica with knives without a choil, and also I just like backlocks. That's a personal preference for me. Not a big fan of frame locks. I understand that when done right, they are one of the strongest knife designs out there, but I've talked to a lot of people online who have frame locks, and just like all frame locks, including really high-end ones like Striders and Sebenzas, all frame locks, you kind of have to break them in. When you get this in the beginning, and it counts for this knife too, this is still brand new, it's kind of stiff, and you kind of have to do it over and over to work over the locking mechanism to get it really worked in when it's really easy to disengage the lock. Sometimes, when I first got this knife, I had to use my other hand to pinch this open in order to open the lock. It's gotten really easy, a lot easier now, but this still needs work. This is still basically a brand new knife, and I'm just too lazy to put the work in to break this knife in. It's just like a well-used guitar or or a custom-made gun. You kind of have to work it in so that the parts all kind of mate with each other really well. And I'm just too lazy to put the time and work into it. I just like my knives kind of ready-made for whenever I want to use them. Otherwise, the fit and finish is excellent. The materials are great. The price, kind of pricey, but I mean, if you're looking for a really nice kind of gentleman's knife that's really fancy and going to get a lot of attention, I would look at this knife. Another thing I want to talk about is the fact that if you're worried about the frame lock coming undone, the fact that this has a choil here, for example, let me just disengage the lock a little bit. Even if the frame lock came undone, because you have your finger on this choil here, even if the knife wanted to close, you couldn't cut yourself just because, as you can see here, my finger is keeping the knife from being closed. So don't be afraid of the lock being disengaged. In addition to that is, with my hand here, the pressure of my hand closing keeps this bar in place. If I squeeze, it pushes the bar and keeps it in place and keeps it from sliding out the other way. So those two things, my finger on the choil, my hand putting pressure on the bar, makes this a really secure knife. So I wouldn't be afraid to actually take this out and use this hard. I'm pretty easy on my knives nowadays just because I work in an office, but if I had to work outdoors, I would not hesitate to take this outdoors and use this as an outdoor knife and work it really hard. especially with the flow-through design, it's easy for me to take this home and kind of clean it out. So anyways, that's my review of the Spyderco Sage 2. I hope I didn't ramble for too long. I hope you guys weren't too bored. And I'll append some pics at the end of this video. And if you guys have any questions, let me know. Thanks so much for watching, guys, and have a great day.